What? Oh, you grooving like me, ain't you?
You know, it
Grooving.
Woo! What's happening, Doc?
Man, that music will make you not feel safe no more.
Man,
Like,
I was about to go upstairs. I was about to go upstairs and grab your wife and do it. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
Drop it like it's hot.
Wow.
Man, what's happening with you, man? What's going on?
Man, you're looking all Africanish.
Bro, welcome to Wakanda. This is the Wakanda episode of Religiously Incorrect.
He is the most light-skinned African. Oh, mayonnaise African-looking.
Listen. Hey, I preached in this today, man. I felt good. I'm going to get me another one.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to get me another one. This is about to be a regular, that's the worst. Every once in a while, people have that real experience wearing the African gear and stuff, and then they never let it go.
Right.
And people be like, oh, here you go. Here you go.
It went from Pastor Todd to Pastor Matumbo.
Listen, Todd X. Hey, speaking of which, we have to start off. I didn't even say this to you in pre-show, Jeff. But Pastor Stanford and the entire Religiously Incorrect crew, we have to give it up for the prince among Black people, the one and only Malcolm X was assassinated on this day, February 21st, 1965, the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem, New York. So major shout out, fist up for Brother Malcolm, all that he's done for our people, all that he stood for, not just the peaceful, because everybody talked about the transition at the end, but we needed that fire too. We needed that fire, that fury. Brother Fred Harris, who I'm going to be talking to tomorrow, has always talked about how you need Malcolm and you need Martin.
Yes.
You need both sides. Absolutely. And even Martin would say, if it wasn't for Malcolm, half of y'all wouldn't listen to me. He scared y'all into listening to me.
That's true. That's true.
So rest in peace, rest in power, Malcolm X. And while we're mourning the lost, we want to extend condolences to Jeff's favorite newscaster, Rush Limbaugh.
Listen,
rest in power, King.
He rushed. He rushed. All right, rushed yourself right.
Hey, talk about turning a corner. Talk about turning a corner from Malcolm X to Rush.
Hey, once again, I keep on saying it. People have died that have never died before.
Have never died before. That's the only true thing Trump said his entire 4 years.
I said it in my sermon today. That's the only true thing he said.
That's the only true thing he said his entire time. People are dying that have never died before. Well, let me tie the two together. Rush is exactly who Malcolm was warning us about.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Rush Limbaugh was the epitome of the American citizen that we needed a Malcolm X to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank, period. The vitriol, the hate, the ignorance, giving such a platform in such a, how would I say it? Not so discreet way, but doing what our former president has done. Giving such a... Just playing your own show.
Well, I just want to make sure I can see the comments too.
I got you. No, but I'm saying he didn't say a lot of stuff, but he opened doors for people who felt the things that they all could read between the lines on.
Exactly.
And I don't believe that dude's resting in heaven or nothing like that, unless he gave his life to Jesus to repent.
And I want to give it up to pastors such as yourself, and obviously I'm gonna throw myself in there. Even today, today I said, I get so sick and tired of pastors and clergy who want to tiptoe around Samaria.
No, yeah, we're not doing it.
We ain't tiptoeing around Samaria. There's some half breeds that need to be talked to and dealt with, and we're not gonna be the pastors that want multicultural churches but won't preach, justice for all outside the building.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And that's got to be a call that we don't stop making, Pastor. Absolutely. We have to continue to push. And, like any good prophet, you will be unpopular, saying what God would have us to say to the world. So,
like Malcolm said, get your hand out my pocket.
Right. Get your hand. Well, Malcolm didn't say that. The dude that killed him said it.
The dude that killed him said it. Get your hand up my pocket.
Jeff, I'm taking you to a black museum after this is over.
I said it wrong. It was
right,
in the.
I'll get the first shout out.
Wait a minute. Who's Rush Limbaugh for the people that? Oh Lord,
you have to Google it, bro.
Yeah,
you have to Google it, bro. Because I'm not giving him another second of my time, to be honest. That was
absolutely not.
You have to Google it, Kendall. We're not about to do that.
And then if we do start talking about him and really start talking about him, we probably gonna cuss and y'all gonna say we ain't pastors
we ain't
and all.
Saved.
We ain't saved. We could say some stuff about Rush that you just ain't gonna be happy with.
We don't need them problems today. I do want to give a shout out, Pastor Jeff, to you. Pastor Jeff made an announcement today announcing ROPE.
Yes, sir.
A program, mentoring and enrichment program for young teenagers, young black teenagers. Is this just for young black? You know me, I'm just all black, all everything.
It's for young black teenagers. ROPE is an acronym for Rites of Passage Educational Program. ROPE is the mission is pulling young black men up one at a time. It is a 7-week divergent program to keep these young men between the ages of 14 and 18 off the streets. Myself and 5 other city pastors are coming together to produce this program. So if you guys are out there and you have a young man that you want or need to go through this program, just real quickly, we're doing the rite of birth. We're doing the rite of adulthood. We're doing the rite of marriage. We're doing the rite of eldership, the rite of ancestry, and the rite of salvation. And while we're giving it up for me, we also want to give it up to Pastor Todd for Black Boys Read. Excuse me. Is that right?
You about to say Black Boys Mac.
Matter.
No, you about to say Black Boys be macking like Pastor Jeff used to do. Black Boys Mac. How to spit game. How to spit game to all them elementary school honeys. Girl, let me get your chocolate milk. Black Boys Read.
Black Boys Read, which my son got on the other day because I told my wife, I said, if you don't put that boy on Black Boys Read, so we are extremely proud of what you're doing and all the things that you're accomplishing, and and these young black boys. I mean, they need to read. It's fundamental.
Reading is fundamental. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Unlike Jeff, I couldn't get 5 pastors to come in the program because I can't get 5 pastors that like me enough. They saw my email and were like, delete.
This dude is crazy.
No, actually, the whole crew that Pastor Jeff is working with. I mean, these are all our boys, man. They're cool people. We love them. Yeah, Black Boys Read is just a thing. We just making it happen. You kind of don't need pastors on there. You just need some boys that want to read. So great programs. We're hitting all ages. If y'all want to know if pastors are doing anything in the community, we will toot our own horns for 5 seconds. Toot, toot. We are doing something in Warren, trying to make something happen. So join up, contribute, make a donation, hit Pastor Jeff up, see how you can help. Don't let your kids sit up in your house and play video games all day when they could be with Pastor Jeff, getting mentored. Then you want to come back later talking about, can you write me a letter? He got hemmed up, robbing the liquor store. Nah, come on down before he get to that level. Seriously. Before we move on, they was carrying on at the mall the last 2 weeks, man, fighting and carrying on at the mall. Not the kind of stuff we could put up with as a community. We have to step up, make it happen,
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. My stepdaughter said I went viral because they was fighting outside my house, and I went out there. And was trying to stop them. I'm in the middle of 30 teenagers, and
Jeff is up in there.
I'm like, listen, y'all are not. This ain't gonna happen out in front of my house. Y'all don't have to swing on me. And trust me, these ain't the problems y'all want.
Right.
These are not the problems y'all want.
This is Captain Black Man. You don't want these problems.
Yeah, I will go back to East High on them.
Bruh. Jeff, I'm going to give you the honors of introducing our very special guest. And then what you'll do is, I think the best way to do this is you'll introduce our very special guest, and then we'll play a video that gives a warm picture of who she is, what she's done. Before you get to that, we want to shout out our sponsor, the Phillips Care family of businesses. That's become my moniker for them that they can pick up. The Phillips Care family of businesses, which are Black-owned businesses here in the Valley. Somebody say Black-owned businesses.
Black-owned.
Black-owned businesses.
They hit my snow up today.
That's it. They hit ours up too. So the first one I'll talk about is High Street Fitness, owned by Phillips Care. High Street Fitness is now owned by Phillips Care, and they are operating that over there in Cortland, Ohio, on High Street in Cortland. They have a sign-up special, $1 registration fee in February. So you only got 7 more days, because Black History Month is the shortest month of the year. So you only got 7 more days to sign up for this. They have new equipment, great facilities. Mike Phillips is running that joint. The brother is bad. He is fit, former quarterback for the University of Pitt and a Warren G. Harding alumnus. And he is a part of the Phillips Care family of businesses. High Street Fitness is one of our proud sponsors of Religiously Incorrect podcast. And we thank them for being our inaugural sponsor for Religiously Incorrect podcast. Yeah. Certainly they won't be our only sponsor. So y'all hit up High Street Fitness on Facebook, the website, check out their special, ride by their facilities, see what they have to offer, and they would be happy, and I would be glad that you did so. Pastor Jeff, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, today we have a very special guest. She is Youngstown's own Lynnett Miller. Amen. We are so happy to have her. She is a former educator. She taught Black history at East High School. East High School Golden Bears, baby. Y'all know what we talking about. And she's also the founder of Harambee. Harambee! Y'all know how we do it. Amen. Y'all give up a warm, special welcome to, most importantly, my auntie. My auntie, my father's sister, Lynnett Miller. We're going to play a video, and then we're going to bring her in.
The young drummers behind me are just the latest participants in a Youngstown tradition that dates all the way back to 1980. Meet the Harambe Dancers, a group of about 170 youths from the Youngstown area, ranging in age from 3 to 18.
We are a youth group. Harambe means let's all pull together. It's an African Swahili word that means let's all pull together.
It's not spirited enough.
Lynnett Miller is the founder of Harambe, which teaches children authentic African dances, most originating from West Africa. She started the group in 1980 to try and make a positive impact in the community.
We teach them their history, their heritage, their culture, pride. We teach them community service. We teach them self-discipline.
What I get out of it is unity within the Black community.
I learned that I could be myself doing it. It gave me so much self-confidence. It brought me out my comfort zone, my shell. It also taught me how to be a leader and stand up for what was right.
The Harambe dancers practice every Thursday at the New Bethel Baptist Church in Youngstown.
Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome, Sister Lynnett Miller.
Welcome.
Hey, I thank you all for inviting me. I have not looked at Religiously Incorrect, and I am enjoying it. Y'all a little incorrect, though. Oh my goodness!
That's how we get.
I'm looking at it every week. I cannot believe you all. But the first thing I want to say is, I am a child of Malcolm.
All right.
Next week, I will be 70 years old. So I have many, many leaders, and I'm a daughter of Martin Luther King, but I am a child of Malcolm, and my principles, my philosophy, my programs come from the teachings of El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. So I appreciate you all opening with remembering him and honoring him. Pastor Todd, you took the words out of my mouth, because February 21st in my household, in my mother's household, has always been extremely important to us. So we want to say, let us remember our shining prince, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. So thank you for opening with that.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Well, we are so excited to have you on. We appreciate all that you do and all that you have done for the city of Youngstown. I just want to open up with tell us, and I know you said a little bit, but just tell us a little bit more about Harambee and where it's at right now. I know through COVID, a lot of people haven't been able to do a lot of things. Where are you at with Harambee and the group?
Well, first of all, Harambee is over 40 years old. We've been doing Harambee for a long, long time. It is an all volunteer organization. The way that we have kept Harambee going is through the young people who were involved in Harambee. As they become adults, they take it over. It's an all volunteer organization. I don't teach a dance step. And in fact, when I get ready to try to dance, the kids be sitting me down. Stop. Okay. And so I am the founder and coordinator of Harambee, but it is the young people who keep Harambee going. And as they become young adults, they still volunteer and give their time to Harambee. All of the instructors in Harambee are former students in Harambee. And we have about 200 kids, and we always remind people that we're not a dance troupe. We are a youth group, an organization that works with our young people. We are a family. Harambee means us all pulled together, and we are a family. We have not met regularly since March of last year because we just cannot. And Harambee kids are bored, and they'll be calling, when is we going to do Harambee? And I have to remind them that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we're just not going to jeopardize them or their families, because even if they're okay, they can bring it home to mama and grandma and great grandma. And so we're just not doing that. And we do have a large youth group, so there's no way, particularly with we have a primary group, a junior group, and a senior group. There is no way that we can socially distance correctly, because we have about 200 kids in Harambee. So we haven't been meeting. I periodically text them and tell them I still love them. And like all other organizations, we're going to have to start all over again to a large degree, because a lot of our juniors and seniors organizations will have graduated by the time we come back next year. But we're not worried about it. We're 40 years old. We're an institution in Youngstown. A lot of people who struggle to get youth groups, Harambee don't.
Amen.
I want to commend you for that. Just hearing you say that longevity in any type of youth organization is very, very hard. Turnover is an issue. I was just joking about in church how, every couple of years you have that real strong group in a church, and, kids, really motivated. And then maybe they graduate, move on with life, and you kind of have to start over again. The other part that I really am impressed by is how you said all of the instructors are former Harambee participants. And I want to kind of ask a question about that, because you have shown the model and the group has shown the model. How important is it to pass down what we've learned? I mean, in one context, that's Harambee, but in a general context, it could be history, knowledge, wisdom. You're displaying that. How important is that to see that continue to cycle?
That is so essential. That is the only way that we are going to continue to grow and progress. And we do that all the time. I mean, we had a mini Harambee Kwanzaa, okay? And I really wasn't going to do it. And my pastor, Pastor Simon, called and said, we're not going to do anything for Kwanzaa. And I was like, no. But the Harambe youth have been calling me and harassing me. We're not going to do Kwanzaa. I keep going, we're in a pandemic. So they want that. It's Black History Month, and I have gotten about 10 different calls about African Culture Weekend, because we used to do African Culture Weekend in Youngstown. In fact, we started African Culture Weekend. We did it in Youngstown. We took it to Warren, and we took it to Akron. And Akron and Warren is still doing it. And after 25 years, we quit doing it in Youngstown. And periodically people go, we need to bring that back. We need to bring that back. But Tuesday, I'll be 70. And so I can't do it. And it's a lot of hard work, and it's all volunteer work. So I haven't been able to get young people to say they're going to do all that work for nothing. And the older generation, our generation, is not as suave as you all, because you all will get grants, get money, institutionalize it, get a 501c3, and our generation didn't do that. So we didn't pass that on like we should. That's a weakness in our part, that I'm looking at the young people today, and they're better. I mean, I'm looking at a podcast and I'm impressed, because you're going to make sure that you tell the story, and it's important.
Right.
I know the show is about Hey Auntie, but whenever we see Aunt Lynette or Lynnett Miller, we always have to talk about Ron Miller or Sababa, your husband, who is a prime example of a king who has done so much in our community. If I'm correct, he was president of the Urban League at one time, a lawyer, as well as educator at YSU, correct? So we just want to give a big shout out to him, and he did a lot in Kwanzaa and Harambee as well. So we just want to give a big shout out to Uncle Ron, Uncle Sababa. We love him to death. Amen.
Yes, I am, because of him, and everything that I am and everything that I do is a part of him and a continuation of him. And in fact, we were doing the podcast tonight, and I wanted him to come into the room to be here with me, and his daughter, his favorite child, that's her favorite parent. She's never apologized for it. Said, that don't feel good. Leave him alone, because I was going to have him come in here, because I am, because of him, and we did everything together always. He is my joy and my blessing, and he's very, very ill right now. So we're oftentimes working without him, and it's difficult, but God got us. So we got this.
Yeah. You have always been instrumental with Harambe, and then Kwanzaa celebrations and African culture weekends. Can you tell us, since you said this is a part of your generation, the ebbs and flow of churches embracing or not embracing our cultural heritage? So did you see a time when you were coming up where you saw that promoted more? Now, we all know the New Bethel story, but I mean, in a more general sense, as far as just Black churches in general, did you see certain times over your life where there was a heightened consciousness and an effort? And then have you seen that die off or be kind of revived? Could you kind of talk that journey a little bit over your lifetime?
It varies. We do know the New Bethel story, and under Quadjo, who was Lonnie in the beginning, he was the first church, the only church who would embrace us, because we were radicals, we were this, we were that, and people would not embrace us. And now, like everybody embraces us. Kwanzaa and stuff is an institution, but we were the radical Negroes, and we were crazy, and wouldn't nobody embrace us. In Youngstown, that has always become a problem to me. When Pastor Todd, when you were talking about the Black church, and I fell asleep on it, and I'm so glad I could still look at it, because our history and our heritage comes out of the church, and all of our struggles and our revolutionaries have come out of the church. Malcolm X was a minister, Martin Luther King was a minister, Adam Clayton Powell was a minister, and I can go on. Nat Turner was a minister. I can go on and on. Our struggle has come out of the church, because that is where we gather. That is a part of our heritage, and it should always be embraced. And as a woman in the struggle, without my church, without my God, I could not do this. Because sometimes, oftentimes that is the only place that you can go to get reprieve. You can just call on the Father and he got you. So it's important that our churches know that they don't apologize for it, that they don't hide from it, that is a part of what they are supposed to do and what they are supposed to be about. And I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I watched, I always knew my nephew, and then I watched Pastor Todd come on the scene, and we said, thank God, because we're getting old. We need y'all. But we need all of our churches. And they just need to know that that's God's word. It really is.
What are some of the responses you've gotten from people who kind of shy away from the African heritage part of things? Do they feel like it conflicts with their faith, or they don't believe in Kwanzaa as a celebration? What are some of the things you've heard that really dishearten you, that you hear coming from Black pastors?
Well, it just...
No names, by the way. We don't say names.
I'm too old, Pastor Todd and Pastor Stafford, so I don't get disheartened. I just go, okay. But right now, it's really hip to be Black. Black Lives Matter, and all these people that used to say all kinds of things to me are now into Black Lives Matter, because my story has been my story ever since anyone has ever known me. And so it's hip, and I'm gonna see if the revolution really came or if it's temporary. Right. But they used to say all kind of, we were Satan worshipers. When we do libations and we celebrate our ancestors and we remember our ancestors, we was crazy. We were bringing up the dead. African people did voodoo. They were cannibalists. They ate, just all kinds of crazy things over the years. I can remember being in college and teaching the 7 principles of Blackness, the Kwanzaa principles. And my educators, when I was getting my degree, they had us teach wherever we wanted. So I was volunteering teaching at Freedom Incorporated, the Uhuru Center. So I did my teaching right there. And they took my video all over YSU, and they weren't dealing with my teaching techniques. They were dealing with the content, because we talked about the 7 principles of Blackness, unity, self-determination, and it was just revolutionary to them. Well, that was the university. Oftentimes we got the same thing from Black people.
Wow.
And that's painful. Or I like Martin Luther King, but don't be telling me that Malcolm X stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But we come, we learn, we grow. And right now, it's a beautiful time. Black Lives Matter. It's beautiful right now.
Yeah.
You not only done the Harambe, but for years, I don't know how many years exactly. How many years were you a teacher?
Okay. I taught for 35 years in the system. I taught social studies. Everybody goes, she taught Black history. I taught social studies. So I taught U.S. history, Black history, world history, civics. I taught all that. But I am who I am. So we always had a Black frame of reference. So everybody said I taught Black history. Well, I taught, and it was my favorite thing was teaching. I love teaching. But I taught for 20 years, and I was a guidance counselor for 15 years. And I preferred teaching, but I stayed in counseling because counseling gave you an office and a table with the policymakers. So you have more impact on kids. So I sacrificed that. And during the last few years of my working, I did summer school. And everybody would just be laughing like, oh my God, Lynette is in her glory. Because I was back in the classroom. And I was like, I am really getting paid $100 a day, it was like 8 to 12. And when I looked up, it would be time to go home already. And kids who took their breaks would take their break and come to my class to sit in on my class and stuff like that. It was
Wow.
it was such easy money.
Wow. That's kind of like a preacher.
I love and I love Harambe. I love what I do. My youth are my energy. You know, when they say all the stuff you do for youth, they do just as much for me. Because they think I walk on water, man. They love me.
Love it. You talked about teaching from an Afrocentric viewpoint, from a Black viewpoint. Did you find yourself like correcting the textbooks? Because some of these textbooks are terrible in world history and U.S. history. So did you find yourself just wanting to rip pages out of the book sometimes, or did you correct it?
I had to correct books. I had to always document my frame of reference, because throughout my teaching career, I got challenged again and again and again. When I would have white administrators downtown at the board, I had to always have my stuff documented, my frame of reference, know where I got it from, Walter Rodney, how Europeans underdeveloped Africa and all that. I always had to have documents and stuff. And I had to, because you had to alter it and change it. I look right now, I'm going to give y'all something right now that I'm going to give y'all a lesson. I want y'all to go back and look at it. Right now, they talk about the Republican Party, and they talk about it being the party of Abraham Lincoln. And they talk about that, and they embrace it, and now they got the Lincoln Project, and it's just a bold-faced lie. When I first started teaching, the Republican Party was never the party of Abraham Lincoln. It was a continuation of the Federalist Party. The Republican Party of Abraham Lincoln was called the Democrat Republicans, and then they just called them the Republicans, and they called them the Black Republicans. And so if you look at old history books, when they do the frame of reference, the Democratic Party is the party of Abraham Lincoln. And they just rewrote history in the last 20 years. And I just be like, really? Really?
Wow.
Because the Abraham Lincoln's party was called the Black Republicans, and it was dealing with the abolition of slavery and stuff like that. And it was the party of the common man and the poor people. Really? But they always rewriting history and doing what they say. And if they say it enough, that's what it is.
Right.
Wow. If they say it enough, that's what it is.
I mean, if you all go back and get some old history books, y'all gonna go, oh, Lynette is telling the truth. Because, I taught history a long time ago. So.
Wow.
Now, we just to throw this in there, you are a bona fide Delta, which you are proud of. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. So I just want to know, how can me and Pastor Todd stomp the yard? That's all,
We get stomped. We get stomped for trying to stomp the yard. That's the answer. We get stomped. You can go by yourself, Jeff, because I ain't getting out there.
What we need to know, and what I have to tell my Black Greeks is, the men who stomped the yard, it is a continuation of African dancing in the South African boot dance. It comes from there. All of the music that exists today starts in Africa. So you can stomp the yard just if you want to. Now, if you want to be a Greek, you got to be a college educated man. That's all. You ain't one of them organizations and stuff like that. But I am a very, very proud Delta. Delta Sigma Theta was founded on public service. We used to be members of the Alpha Kappa Alpha, and their president left with 21 others to form Delta Sigma Theta as a public service organization. So I'm a proud Delta, and we do much stuff in the community and in the world.
I know it. I've seen it. You all are active, supporting so much. I wanted to ask you, Sister Lynette, this has come up about the role of women in ministry and in the church. We've talked a lot about. I want to talk from a community standpoint. What have you seen about the role and the voices of women being respected on the community level, like Harambe, like some of the efforts that we're a part of together. Do you still see that male patriarchal spirit at work when it comes to community collaborations, having respect for your organization, being heard on platforms? And I'm talking within the Black community. I'm not talking about white folk. I'm talking about Black folk. Talk about being a woman, because you're bold, you're outspoken, you're educated, you're organized. What do you see out there? What have you experienced?
I know the story, and I know the history, and I understand the pain and the struggle of women. So I don't play it down when they talk about that it's a man's world and they got to be loud and they got to be quick, and women don't get respect in the ministry. I know that story, and I've heard that story, and I don't play it down. However, I am bold, and I have not suffered that pain because I don't. I think that it is a Black people's world, and I believe that I need to struggle along with my man, and that we need to come together and do things together, and we got to raise and save our babies together. And when you look at the economic pay scale, it used to be white men, Black men, white women, Black women, and forever, for 40 years, the white women took Black men out. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. So our struggle is together.
Wow.
And so I don't worry about that. And I've had extremely aggressive leaders that I've worked with over the years, and automatically they wanted me to be the secretary. They were men, and they wanted me to be the secretary.
Right.
But I ain't never had no problem, because I said, I'm not going to be your secretary. You can't call me in the morning and tell me to do this and this and this and this. Because I'm aggressive like that. So that's why I say I understand their pain. And women in our Black churches had to struggle. We know the story of New Bethel and Reverend Thornton, and Quadro allowed her. So I understand their struggle. But I am aggressive.
Yeah.
And I do have a big mouth. So I don't. If I needed to check them, I checked them and moved on.
Okay.
So.
Love it.
I want to ask you this. I know this is religiously incorrect, and you don't have to indict yourself in any type of way. But right now in Youngstown, there is a race going on, and we have 3 Black candidates for mayor.
Yeah, I got it all. All on your face.
All on your face.
It's written all over your face.
From since I'm not at Beulah anymore and I am outside looking in, what do you feel about? Because I see a lot of them eliminating one another, and I don't like where it's going. Just what is your take on that at this point?
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. We have had this again and again and again, and we continue to do it. Like, we just don't need to do this, because we do eliminate each other, and it's done on purpose. We struggle so hard with our golden ticket. We struggle so hard to get Mayor Tito Brown, because they were trying to cancel him out in that same way. So now we're coming up again, and it's the term again. And I'm not saying, Tito is so wonderful. I'm saying it's Tito's time. And I'm just gonna say it. It's Tito's time, and don't nobody else need to deal with that right now. And it ain't your turn, and it ain't your time, and wait till he turn out, and then it's your time. It's his time, and you do not need to be bought and sold by other people to doing that. And I just feel like that's exactly what we're doing. And I don't mean to do it on the podcast, and I wasn't even gonna say nothing about it, but I got asked it, so I gotta say it.
She will speak.
Mayor Brown's time, and Mayor Brown is doing a good job. And he's not doing everything correctly, but none of us are. But I see more things going on just on our streets and trying to clean up our streets and protect our cars and stuff than I've seen in forever. But it's just like a whole lot of stuff. It's just not your time. And you need to think and be Black before you're anything else, and just handle it like that. Look at us as a community and take care of us. And your time will come, but it ain't your time now.
This gonna end up being replayed somewhere. I'm just telling y'all right now. Somebody is screenshotting this right now. But let me say this as a broader principle, Ms. Miller, because you know this area, you know Warren, Youngstown, and Mahoning Valley. Are we in a position, and do you feel we'll pretty much always be in a position where the only way for us to get these offices is for there to only be one? Whereas if there ever are more than one, we really are canceling. So there's never really room for more than one for us because of what we're up against. Does that make sense?
Not right now.
Okay.
That's the way it is right now.
I understand.
Now, it should be more than one, and we shouldn't still be doing the firsts. It shouldn't just be more than one. But that's what it is right now. And so we gotta look at that and look at the broader picture. We gotta think about our community and our people first and foremost. On every decision I have ever made for 50 years, it has not been hard for me to make a decision, because everything I do, I go, what does it mean for my people? How does it affect my people? And I've gotten criticized by Black people for that. I most certainly got criticized for white people for that. You always bring in the Black thing. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. If I'm on a book, if I'm trying to decide what kind of book we're gonna use in the school, it's not even hard. I just look and see how far back they put Black people, how they handle slavery, and then I'll go, book, no book. And they'll be like, you did it? Yeah. And that's on everything I do. When teachers went on strike, and they would get really, really mad at me because I'm a union person. I'm not going to break the strike. But I'm not walking the picket line with y'all because I'm not shutting doors on Black kids. Because that's first and foremost for me.
Wow.
So a long time ago, the teachers was on strike, and Lonnie Simon was at the Board of Education, and he locked the doors and wouldn't let the teachers and the administrators leave until they resolved the strike. I was a new teacher. Guess where I was at the Board of Education with Quadjo, because that's the way I think. And when I tell you, when I opened up and said I'm a child of Malcolm, that's Malcolm's teachings, and that's the way I think.
I love it. You're inspiring me right now. I mean, what does it mean for us? And when you just said that little phrase, that's what I'm here for. I'll be honest. I've been in a lot of conversations. Everybody, Pastor Jeff knows my story of kind of being seen as the adversarial one, even in quiet conversations. You always the one causing a fuss. And I never thought of that phrase when my even white friends, my evangelical friends, well, why do you always have to bring this in? Because if I don't, who will? If I don't bring this, and what you just said, that's what I'm here for. I mean, that's just that's gonna go with me. You about to hear that quoted by me more than a few sermons. But
it's what we have to do, Pastor Todd. When you say, is it gonna be a time when it don't have to just be one, and maybe the revolution then came. I'm checking. You know what I mean? But right now, we got to do what we got to do. And we owe it to our babies. We owe it to Christian and them to stand up and do what we're supposed to do to make the world a better place for them. We owe them that. Period.
I love it.
Wow. Powerful.
Lynette, what are some practical things you know, we have Harambe, we have Kwanzaa. When February is over, and 99% of us put our stuff back in the closet until, you know, Juneteenth or whatever date, we'll bring it back out. We'll bring it back out for Juneteenth, then we'll put it back for February. How do we keep saying we're Black 365, but I want to hear from somebody who is Black 365.
Yeah,
how do you do
really
that?
am Black 365 days a year. My garments are 85% of the garments in my household. Not just because I like African garments, but I practice the principles of Kwanzaa, and I practice Ujamaa. And my vendors, my dentist, my doctor, my lawyer, my contractor, my all of that, as much as we can, is an African American person, and it's not anti-white; it's pro-Black. So
I love it.
I practice it 365 days out of the year. I practice it all the time because, you know, February is the shortest month.
Right.
So we can't do it in February anyway. But our struggle, our lives, our day-to-day lives require us to do this every day, all the time. Again, we owe it to our children. We have got to be on the podium speaking and fighting on behalf of our children and our people, for education, for economic justice, for mental health justice, all of the justices. We got to do international awareness and involvement because we got to go across the water and help our people. And look at what's happening to them with the pandemic and stuff. We have a whole bunch of work to do. One of my favorite sorors, my 14th national president, her name is Frankie Muse Freeman. We lost her just this past year. And she always got on the mic and said, the first thing she said to the sorors was, sorors, we got work to do. And everybody who know me know I've embraced that. We have work to do every day, all the time. I don't know if I answered. You know, I'm long-winded, Pastor Todd.
No, you got it. You got it.
You got it. We, you know, I am sore that, you know, after leaving Beulah, because we done the second day of Kwanzaa every year at Beulah, and it was always one of my favorite times. It was absolutely one of my favorite times to celebrate Kwanzaa, whether it was at New Bethel, whether it was at Trinity, or you know, wherever we went. I tried to make it to all of them. I've noticed, you know, that there are a lot of churches who just will not accept Kwanzaa for whatever the reason may be. And like I said, there aren't any Kwanzaa celebrations in Warren. I'm just wondering if you, and I know we talked about Harambe, but is there a lot of backlash against Kwanzaa, especially from the Christian community? And what would that be about?
Well, it used to be, Pastor Jeff. It used to really be, but you know, you can Google it. It's in books, it's in magazines, and unfortunately, I don't know. I'm getting ready to be incorrect.
You be incorrect.
When white people validate it for them, then it's okay. Okay, so it's in books. You can Google it and so on and so forth. But this is what I get all the time. You know, from being at Beulah, we have a Kwanzaa committee, and we do Kwanzaa. Well, what they want, people want to do it, but they want me to come and do Kwanzaa for them. Mm-hmm. If it's your church, you got to do Kwanzaa.
Right.
And then as soon as they learn that, you mean you ain't coming and bringing all them people and all them kids, then they don't want to do it no more, because that means they don't really want to do it. They want me to come and do it, and they don't realize how much work that is to organize and get all those kids there and all that equipment and all those drums and this and that. And I can't do that. And you need to embrace your children in your youth group and give them ownership of it and teach them anyway.
Amen.
So I get that a whole lot. They want to do it, and they call me and they fuss. How come you only do New Bethel? How come you're only doing Beulah Baptist? Beulah Baptist was doing it before you came.
Right.
And I didn't heard, well, you only do Beulah Baptist because that's your nephew. Really?
And
Beulah Baptist did Kwanzaa.
and
I came to Beulah Baptist Kwanzaa. Beulah Baptist did Kwanzaa. But I would hear that. So they want it, but they don't want to do the work. And then there's churches, y'all know, y'all preachers. There's churches that don't want to come near it, don't want to touch it. We're bad people. So
yeah, we get the wrong spirit. Let the spirits out.
We drinking blood. We do. I don't know.
Yeah. My wife knows stuff about that. She grew up in the church. They was talking about that. You talked about white validation and how even things that are actually ours, it belongs to us. We wait until it becomes mainstream enough for the news to come by, for Google to accept it and change their little search bar to look like Kwanzaa, and Facebook to put up a little African background, and then it becomes cheap. And how much of that has to do with us just not being willing to trust and be led by us? Yeah. Like our voices are not enough until the white man comes and says, yeah, this is good. And then they didn't halfway walked in with a dashiki and took it over, and now they playing the drum. And we sitting there, it's how much of a problem is that for us to not accept our own leadership and our own voices?
It is a problem, but it's us. Again, I'm a child of Malcolm. And what Malcolm taught us is the culture question. It's the culture question. If you teach young people who they are, their history, their heritage, their culture, where they come from, then you ain't got to worry about it. Because as long as you've taught them what you need to teach them, they're going to do what they need to do. Well, our people have not been taught. And we have digressed, y'all. I taught African American history forever. Me, in Youngstown City Schools, it was me, Mr. Golston, and Henrietta Williams. And we taught it forever. And my classrooms was overflowed. I might have 37 kids in a class where these teachers be complaining and stuff like that. They don't even teach Black history in the classrooms no more in Youngstown City Schools. They don't even teach it anymore. As an educator, if you talk to Sarah Brown Clark, she would go, she was teaching at YSU, she would go, oh, I can tell when a kid had Lynette in her class. Kent State, we could tell. Dr. Crosby, who we just buried, we could tell when that child had Lynnett Miller in her class. You know what I mean? If you teach them, they will follow. What did about you teach a child the way you should go? It's the absolute truth. And my young people, my students were easier to teach and easier to reach than these old folks. And I wasn't even worried about it. I just taught the young people because I knew that would turn it around. When I first started doing Kwanzaa, y'all, when we first started doing it, we would be lucky to get 30 people in a room. You all know that Kwanzaa is an institution in Youngstown. And one of the things that I started long time ago as an educator, when my students got married, I had Mr. Loki. I think he before y'all's time, he's gone. But his African name was Kuumba. And Mr. Loki would make Kwanzaa kits. And I would give my students a Kwanzaa kit as a wedding present. Because I know that they're limited in money and they're not going to buy that. And we wouldn't be trying to cancel Christmas. Kwanzaa is not a Black Christmas. We Christians, so we still do Christmas to celebrate the birth of Jesus. And then we do Kwanzaa. So I would buy them kits. And people didn't understand that. But over the years, Kwanzaa became an institution. And it was just that little thing that you start doing. Because they're not going to buy it, but if they got it at home, They teach in Kwanzaa.
Wow.
You know?
I love it. I love it. I have been inspired. I only have one or more question for you, and that is, will you be my auntie too?
I am your auntie, my son. I'm honored to be your auntie. I'm honored to be your auntie. I'm honored to be on y'all's podcast. And this is going to be my new thing. I got to look at it. I didn't even know about it until Jeff called me. I'm loving it. I love it. I'm sitting up here looking at y'all. Yeah. What is it? Religiously incorrect.
Religiously incorrect. Love it.
One last question before we bring Big Mike back in. Give me your favorite Malcolm X quote.
I have it, and I get aggravated every time I hear it on the Kennedy Catholics thing. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. That is El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. And when you hear Kennedy Catholic using that term, and I know they don't know it's Malcolm's term. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And if I start that and you see some of my students, they'll finish it, because I taught them that every day, all the time. You got to plan. You got to do that.
I love it. Everybody watching, give it up for soul sister number one, Sister Lynnett Miller, daughter of Malcolm, Jeff's auntie, and Pastor Todd's new auntie.
All righty. Wakanda forever.
Listen, I'm going to bring in Big Mike real quick, but first we want to talk about the Phillips Care family of businesses once more, celebrating Phillips Care Cleaning. Phillips Care Cleaning does residential and commercial buildings, from cleaning your house to your business, from top to bottom, even the carpet. And yes, they do landscaping and parking lot care. So your plowing and your salting and your sidewalks, they do it all. Phillips Care Cleaning is a Black-owned business out of Warren. My brother from elementary school, Fernando Phillips, started this business, and he and his family are doing wonderful. They did our parking lot this morning, did a wonderful job. You can find them on phillipscarellc.com. Go on Facebook, Phillips Care LLC, or call Fernando at 219-7916. And y'all all live in the area, so you know the area code is 330. Before we bring in Big Mike, my auntie was to be on, but she is not as well as she would like to be. She struggled with sickness. I want to give a shout out to Warren's soul sister number one, Miss Jenny Price. That's my father's sister. She has one of the biggest collections of Black artifacts, Black history displays. She does her own Black history displays every single February. She did our church, and I love her so much. She has been another warrior on the battlefield. I'm going to go check her out and see her and make sure she's well this week. So I just want to give love to my auntie, Jenny Price, who wanted to be on tonight but was not able to be. Big Mike, come on in and help us close out.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
What up?
Right.
What up?
Sister Lynette, first I want to say thank you for coming on. Very good guest. Really enjoyed the conversation. Everything you had to say, very, very inspiring. Second, I want to say I didn't get the email about wearing the dashiki, so it's in the closet though. It's in the closet. I ain't get the email, so
you could have ran and put one on all this time we was talking.
Sister Lynette, I do have one question for you though. What advice do you give to kids who are multicultural?
All right. The first thing, I don't know how much time I got, but I didn't know that was your aunt. You know, that's my good friend. We do voter registration together in Warren. Jenny Price.
Yes. Yeah, Jenny is my aunt. Yes.
Now, Big Mike, what was my question? What would I give to multicultural?
Yes.
Mixed kids.
Children coming up, multicultural. What advice do you give to them? Because it seems like they have I don't want to say a battle, but they are kind of stuck between.
Yeah. As a educator, my students know that I always had, as a counselor, I had groups, and one of my groups was biracial students, because they had their own particular problems. I had a foster care group as well because they had their own particular problems. They're Black because the society makes them Black, and they're Black. But oftentimes our own community abuse and harass them, and they don't feel that they're they feel isolated.
Right. They're not Black enough.
Oftentimes they act out because they be trying to hang with folks incorrectly. So that's why I had a group for them. So what advice would I give them? You good. You beautiful. You're worthy. You are who you are. And embrace both your cultures, because the problem is that people don't embrace cultures. And so we celebrate who you are, and you are both of those things. And that makes you a much better person because you got both sides of everything. So I would embrace them. I used to have a group that was a biracial group.
So they can have the greens and the casserole.
That's right. That's right. And it adds spice and variety to the table.
That's what I'm talking about.
They are great people, and they don't need to be trying to be nothing for nobody. They need to be who they are and celebrate who they are. And we got to make sure we tell our babies that.
Right.
I love it.
Good answer.
I agree.
I like that. I like
Slip them some hot sauce. They get Black.
They already Black, Pastor Todd. They already.
I know.
That's all I got. Are there any more questions from the audience?
You know, you took Charlene's questions.
I've seen that.
Stella Cruz, you took her question. I think everyone was just enraptured today. I mean, you were covering so much. You were answering questions before we even asked them. Right. And Sister Lynette, seriously, if you've never been on a podcast before, you're an excellent podcast guest. You're knowledgeable, you're direct, entertaining, engaging. Obviously, you're a teacher, so you know all about that. Mm-hmm. But you've done a wonderful job, and I'm proud. And I kind of already knew you already knew.
This is my first podcast, y'all.
You didn't make it happen. Made it happen.
I said, no, I don't know what Jeff got me doing. I don't know.
Yeah. That's how all our family be like. I don't know what you're about to do, but I'll click this link. Well, I love it. I'm done, Jeff. I'll give you the last word.
Big ups to Zakia for coming over, making sure you are right. She is a wonderful example of a Black queen who is just doing her thing. She's been over to Africa numerous times, and so we just want to give big ups to her for all that she's done and all that you've done. Thank you so much. I love you with all my heart. I appreciate you being here and all that you do for the community. Keep it up, and we got your back. Whatever it is,
we got it.
I'm
ready to fight. I ain't fought in a while. I'm ready to fight. Give me something to
let
argue
the
about.
revolution begin.
Give me something to argue about. All right, Big Mike.
I love this podcast, and my baby, I call him Pastor Nephew. I'm so proud of him because I watched him grow.
You remember Thug Life, Jeff?
I don't know Thug Life. A womanizer. I do.
Oh, that's the five. That's the five. You had all of them.
Cut.
No. Keep it going. We're about to have an after show, Mike. We're about to have.
You okay, Jeff? Because Tiff ain't playing. She got it.
We're about to have the after show with Auntie Lynette. Telling us all the juice.
Right. Well, for the first podcast, you did real good. And when you're ready to start your own, holla at your boy. Let me know.
He's the podcast master. We appreciate everybody coming out. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Just like Sister Lynette says, this is her first time. Let's make it somebody else's first time next week. Tag somebody, share this video. Let's keep the religious incorrect movement going, the religiously incorrect movement going. And maybe one day you can say like me, I got a new auntie. I got a new auntie. Take us out, Big Mike.
All right. Thank you, Auntie. Love you.
Peace, y'all.
Take us out.